Hello learners, I am Dr. Nidhi Mathur, PhD in Public Administration and teaching at Institute of Management Technology, Center for Distance Learning, Ghaziabad. The subject expert is Dr. Neeti Mathur, teaching in National Law University, Jodhpur, Rajasthan. Previously, we discussed the Markov analysis. Our topic of discussion for today is PERT and CPM. Before we discuss PERT and CPM, let us understand the meaning of a project. An interrelated set of activities or an endeavor with a defined starting and ending point, generally constrained by time, funding or staffing, and which is designed to produce a unique product, service or result, is called as project. A scientific way and practicing of initiating, planning, implementing, monitoring, controlling and closing the various aspects of a project such as time, money, material, manpower, etc. through the application of processes, skills and experience to achieve specific goals and the objectives of a project and to bring beneficial change or add value is termed as project management. There are two widely used management techniques and network planning method for project management. PERT, Program Evaluation and Review Technique. CPM, Critical Path Method. Let us now discuss about the introduction and history of PERT and CPM techniques. PERT and CPM are the network models or managerial techniques that are widely used in project management. These techniques are very useful for planning, scheduling, allocating resources, executing, controlling and managing the projects that are large and time bounded and which involves careful coordination of interrelated and complex set of activities, estimation of resource requirement, time required for each activity and establishment of interrelationship between the various activities involved in the process. With the use of quantitative analysis techniques such as PERT and CPM, some important aspect of any project can be known and controlled, such as expected time of completion, effect in any activity due to any delay, using additional resources for completing projects before time, probability of project completion in time. The most popular techniques used for project scheduling prior to the development of PERT and CPM were bar and Gantt chart that shows graphical representation of time or work scale. However, it has its own limitations, such as its inability to display the interdependencies and interrelationships between many activities, and to overcome these limitations, PERT and CPM were suggested and developed in the late 1950s. PERT was developed by the US Navy Special Projects Office in cooperation with the management consulting firm Booz Allen and Hamilton in 1950s to simplify the planning and scheduling of large and complex projects. It was used to direct a massive project, Polaris missile program or Polaris nuclear submarine project, which had about 250 contractors and 9,000 subcontractors. Apart from this, it has been applied since then to various problems involving scheduling, maintenance, construction work, manpower planning, market penetration, etc. CPM was developed by M.R. Walker of DuPont and J.E. Kelly of Remington Rod, and it was used in assisting building and maintenance work at chemical plants at DuPont. The trade-off between the total cost and overall completion time of the project was the main emphasis here. Introduction to PERT. PERT is a project network analysis technique used for planning and controlling the projects, keeping the focus on time and cost taken by each activity. It is used for the projects where the time required for completion of different activities is unknown, and major application is for scheduling, organizing and integrating different tasks of a project. It is an efficient technique for evaluating a project as it provides the blueprint of the project and aims to reduce the time and cost involved in the project. This technique enables understanding the performance of the work throughout the course of project, and it influences the resultant time and cost requirement for completing the project. The projects dealing with designing a new machine or developing a new product involves performing of various activities based on judgment. PERT analysis enables reliable time estimation considering rapid changes in technology and time values subjected to variation, and it helps in completing a particular event within specified time period. PERT planning involves the following steps. 1. Identifying the specific activities that are the task required for project completion and identifying milestones that are the events which mark the starting and ending of various activities. Determining the proper sequence of activities, combined identification of steps as activity sequence is observable for some task and more analysis may be required for other tasks to determine the performance order for them. Next step is constructing a network diagram by using the activity sequence information, which shows the sequence of parallel and serial activities. Tabular activity information can be automatically converted into a network diagram using software packages. Next step is estimating the time required for each activity using its distinguished feature, that is the ability to deal with uncertainty in activity completion time. The next step is determining the critical path by adding the time required by activities in each sequence and finding the longest path in the project. It determines the total time required for the project to be completed. Sixth step is updating the PERT chart and making adjustments as the project progresses by replacing the estimated times with actual times, and use the chart by modifying it to reflect the new situation in the case of any delays or the need of additional resources, and keep the project on schedule. To estimate and evaluate the time required for completion of task using PERT method, 3-point estimation technique is used, where more weightage is given to the most likely estimate. By considering uncertainty and risk in estimates, we can improve the accuracy of estimation of single point task duration. In PERT analysis approach, the time values are estimated with each activity by using the following estimates for defining an appropriate range of task duration. Most likely time. It is the estimate of the normal time to be taken by an activity under ideal conditions, assuming normal delays. The basis of this estimation is the duration of the task given the resources to be assigned, productivity, dependencies on other participants, interruptions and realistic expectations of availability of activity. Optimistic time. It is the estimate of the shortest or the minimum possible time potentially taken by an activity to complete under ideal condition, such as no scope for breakdowns and delays. In other words, it is the task duration based on the best case scenario for the task. Pessimistic time. It is the estimate of the longest or the maximum time conceivably taken by an activity to complete if everything goes wrong. In other words, it is the task duration based on the worst case scenario. Estimated time. It is the estimate of the time required by an activity to complete, keeping into account that things do not always proceed as normal, along with the implication that the time expected is the average time required by the task, where the task is repeated over an extended period of time on a number of occasions. It is based on the assumption that activity time follows beta distribution. Here E is equal to O plus 4m plus P divided by 6. PERT management tools. There are various management tools provided by PERT with the determination of concepts. Slack or float. For measuring the excess resources and time available to complete a given task, slack or float is used. The amount of time by which a task of project can be delayed without causing any delay in any subsequent task is referred to as slack or float. Being ahead of schedule is indicated by a positive slack and being behind the schedule is indicated by a negative slack. Similarly, zero slack indicates being on schedule. Critical path. The longest possible pathway a project can take from the starting point of an initial event to the end point of a terminal event is termed as critical path. Critical path is used for determining the total calendar time required by the project, and any time delays along with the critical path will delay the reaching time for terminal event by at least the same amount. Critical activity. When the value of float for any activity is equal to 0, it is referred to as critical activity. However, since its path may not be the longest, it is not necessarily on the critical path. Lead time. A lead is when an activity is still happening and another activity starts, and the balance of time for the prior activity or the overlaps between the prior and the later activity is known as the lead time. Lag time. The delay or wait time between two activities where the prior activity is finished and the later has not started is referred to as lag time. Fast tracking. The technique used for compressing the schedule by performing some activities or phases parallel for at least a portion of their activity duration, otherwise generally done in sequence, is called as fast tracking. It is used for reducing the overall job time by running before schedule. Crashing. The technique which is used for shortening the duration of critical activities or critical path by adding more resources in the process is called crashing. PERT chart. A project management tool, visual in nature, which is used to map out and track the tasks and timelines, is known as PERT chart. While executing projects in real life, it is not important that the execution goes exactly as planned and there is a fair scope of risks, uncertainty, unexpected events and subjective estimates to cause deviations in the process. So, in order to estimate the project completion time in case of uncertainty, PERT charts are very helpful and better to be used with software, as making calculations for multiple combinations efficiently becomes easier. PERT charts, even after being similar to Gantt chart in terms of graphical view of projects, tasks, timelines and schedules, are preferred over Gantt charts. There are few significant differences between the both type of charts. Gantt charts are drawn along with the timeline as bar graphs, horizontal bars having its length as its estimated time frame, representing tasks and phases of a project. However, in contrast, a PERT chart can be drawn as a free form diagram having boxes or circles as nodes representing tasks or events, connected through arrows representing tasks to be completed between each milestone and the time required to complete each task. Next difference is Gantt charts have a disadvantage of not indicating task dependencies, while in PERT chart illustration of dependencies is done. In Gantt chart, each bar is standalone on the graph, which makes it difficult to estimate the impact of missing a deadline over other tasks. In PERT chart, this problem is solved by the use of arrows, where a concurrent or directional arrow indicates that a series of tasks with interdependencies must be completed in a sequence, and functions that can be completed parallel or out of order are indicated by diverging arrows. PERT chart template includes various components. Number 1, numbered nodes representing an event or a milestone in the project one stage completion or a series of tasks required to move forward in the project. Number 2, concurrent or directional arrows representing tasks or activities required to be finished before moving on to the next phase or event in the project. Number 3, divergent arrows representing tasks that can be executed simultaneously with other tasks and in different sequences, as there is no interdependency between them. The following steps are included in creating a PERT chart in project management. Number 1, identifying all the activities of the project, breaking goals and milestones in constituent tasks. Number 2, identifying all the dependencies in the project task or events, that is nodes, by determining tasks that are prerequisites for other tasks. Number 3, estimating the time frame associated with each task, as time estimation is required to be added for each task. Number 4, drawing the PERT chart, translating tasks and milestones as nodes, drawing vectors between the tasks, and look for ways to rearrange or break up tasks for analyzing and optimizing the execution and to minimize potential bottlenecks and reduce time. Example of PERT chart is shown in the diagram. This was about PERT. Now let us discuss CPM, Introduction to Critical Path Method, or CPM. CPM is a tool or a technique of project time management comprised of an algorithm which is used for planning, scheduling, coordinating and controlling of activities involved in a project. It is used for projects where the time required for project completion is already known. It is used for calculating the earliest and the latest probable start time and finish time for each activity with an assumption that the duration of the activity is fixed and certain. It provides the minimum time taken by a project to complete, as critical path is supposed to be the largest path in project management. In general observation, a lot of sequence of activities can be identified in a network path from starting event to end event, containing different combination of activities with different duration. The process basically differentiates between the critical and non-critical activities and helps in reducing completion time, as once a critical path is determined. The activities on this path can be taken first or prioritized accordingly to quicken the process and avoid generation of queues in the process, causing delays in the entire project. This way, it helps in preventing time frame issues and process bottlenecks, and ideally used for projects comprised of numerous activities interacting in a complex manner. The major objectives of CPM are determining a route between two or more activities or operations for optimizing certain measures of performance, locating the difficulties and obstacles involved in the production process, assigning the start and finish timings to each activity or operation, determining the float associated with each non-critical activity. Application of CPM includes several steps to be followed. Number 1, calculating the time schedule for each activity, which involves determining the time which an activity must start and time before which it must be finished. It includes calculating earliest start, earliest finish, latest start and latest finish times and the float. Number 2, calculating the time schedule for the completion of entire project. Number 3, identifying the critical path and finding critical activities that must be started and finished on time schedule, as they can cause delays in completion of the entire project. Differences between PERT and CPM. PERT is a technique used in project management by which we plan, schedule, organize, coordinate and control the uncertain activities. CPM is a technique which is statistically used in project management to plan, schedule, organize, coordinate and control certain and well-defined activities. PERT is used in planning and controlling the time involved in project execution, while CPM is both a cost and time controlling method. PERT technique has evolved as a research and development project, while CPM has evolved as a construction project. PERT is set in accordance with events, while CPM is aligned to activities. PERT technique follows the model of probability, while CPM follows a deterministic model. PERT technique consists of 3 times estimates, that is optimistic time, pessimistic time and most likely time, while CPM has only 1 time estimate. PERT technique is used to handle unpredictable activities, while CPM is used to deal with predictable activities. PERT technique has the ability to estimate time with high precision, while CPM deals in a reasonable time estimate. PERT deals with non-repetitive jobs in nature, while CPM is concerned with the jobs of a repetitive nature. PERT does not have any demarcation between the critical activity and non-critical activity, while in CPM there is a demarcation between critical activity and non-critical activity. PERT has no chance of crashing as there is no time certainty, while in CPM, due to foundations on time, there is a chance of crashing. PERT has no use of dummy activities, while in CPM, dummy activities are used to represent the sequence of activities. Now, let us discuss the advantages of PERT and CPM. First, we will discuss the advantages of PERT. It is used by project managers for planning and scheduling large projects critically by analyzing all the factors that can affect the progress of plan, considering details from start to end. It provides a tool for management to forecast the effects of changes in schedule and helps being prepared for correcting these situations. It is used to present a lot of data in a highly ordered manner, graphical representation of task relationship to evaluate them easily, and determining the role of individuals in total task requirements. It provides the probability of completing the activity before a given time. It provides coordination ability, which helps in improving the interdepartmental communication of the company. It provides a greatest degree of accuracy in time forecasting, as the PERT time is the most objective time in the presence of uncertainties being based upon three-way estimates. Now, let us discuss about CPM. It provides a layout for long-term planning and coordination of a project. It provides ease of planning, scheduling and controlling a project. It helps in recognizing the critical activities. It helps in managing the required resources and improves productivity. Let us now discuss about disadvantages of PERT and CPM. The number of tasks and individual dependent relationships can be potentially very high. For smaller projects, PERT is not scalable easily. It is time focused method and there is a foundation of finishing activities and projects on time, as it may cause problems if not given importance. The project can face negative impacts due to inaccurate prediction, as PERT does not have any past record for the project's framework and predictions comes into the picture. It is too expensive in terms of utilization of resources, researching, time consumption and prediction. The disadvantages of CPM are: it is difficult to be understood by the people who are not aware of the method. Structuring of CPM may take a long time. Use of software can be expensive sometimes. Forming or controlling the schedule of a person allocated to the project may not be possible through CPM. Monitoring of the allocation of resources cannot be done properly. PERT and CPM are two project management techniques that aims to achieve goals of a company, and being a project manager, it would probably be best to use PERT. After using the method and getting more consistent completion times for activities, these can become the duration of those activities using CPM. There is a definite link and correlation between PERT and CPM. However, both the methods were invented separately from each other. So, that is all for today. Hope you have understood. We will meet in the next episode with a new topic. Till then, take care and goodbye.